What's up, everybody? This is Hush, aka How You Stop Him, aka No Noise 418, aka Unstoppable Hush, aka Voice of Reason. And this is Tell It How It Is, No Filter, episode 142. What's going on? How's everybody doing? I'm gonna just get right into it. There was a fight. Boxing has stepped it up. There's a lot of events. I don't catch them all. The one I'm talking about is Canelo versus Khalid Plant. Conway, I'm a huge fan of, was rolling with the dude Plant. That was a very good fight. Like, damn near to the end. Canelo edged him, got a TKO on him. I think that was like mid 11th round. So Canelo's undisputed champion. If you pay attention to boxing at all, the only person he lost to was Mayweather. And I won't start any drama or rumors with my opinion on that fight. I think Canelo did very well in that fight. Mayweather got the edge on him. But since then, he has suffered no loss. So, flowers and a clap to Canelo Alvarez. We have passed the elections. We are a witness of our second black mayor in the city of New York, Eric Adams, former police captain. His goal is to end the pandemic. That's what his commitment is to. So I've read. Will that be? We shall see. Alongside that is the city's first district attorney of Manhattan, Alvin Bragg. I hope I said that right. These guys, I didn't do a lot of footwork and homework on. I'm going to go off of what I see, not what has been posted or pre-talked about. They're there January 1st. Let's see what happens. I'm only covering the city of New York, but there was elections elsewhere as well. Pay attention to who your political figures are if you care to make a difference or care to be concerned with who's in position to make a difference, shall I say. Copy that. Philly just has so much surrounding them as far as the 76ers go. We already know about the Ben Simmons troubles. Now Joel Embiid, I think it was unintentional to that swing at Lonzo Ball. It was Philly versus the Bulls, and after a play, you see Joel swing, and I think he connected with Lonzo Ball or barely missed or whatever. He got a T for that, and it was a big deal. Emotions fly in the sports world. You know what I'm saying? Games are critical. Each game is important. Each minute. These guys are fighting for the bigger picture. So sometimes it can get a little dicey. So I'm just gonna say that on that. NFL still going. There's a couple upsets over the past weekend. The Giants are finding a little mojo. They seem to have a little thing going on where they're showing some heart. They're showing some intensity. So I commend that, even though the record doesn't really reflect playoff contentions right now. They still are fighting. I just commend great plays. Back to basketball real quick. Why can't the Lakers beat the Thunder? I've witnessed at least 2 outings where the Thunder has won. And I'm not trying to no disrespect to the Thunder, like they ain't got nobody. They don't have nobody. They don't have anybody. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just the Lakers are so dominating, supposed to be, allegedly top talk for the finals. Western Conference Finals at least. So I just don't know if Oklahoma just has their number. You know what I'm saying? It'll be interesting if they face off again. I don't know the schedule if they face each other again, but Oklahoma has 2 wins on the Lakers. That might be a little instigation. I just feel like they should at least split, or maybe the Lakers should have won both. I'm highlighting Westbrook because of that being his former team, and you know how people should show up to face their former teams. Not saying he didn't show up, but what's really good over there. The Knicks suffered a loss, so that great start is tainted a little bit, but not to panic. It doesn't mean the end. Meanwhile, Brooklyn has found his mojo as well, and they're starting to resemble what they should look like, in my eyes. Back to football for a second. A very critical stat that you may not know for my football lovers. The Broncos have beaten the Cowboys every time they faced each other since 1995. So the past game that just passed, were we surprised, or is it time for the streak to end? Clearly it wasn't. Denver wins again. The streak remains. 1995, folks. That's a long time to not beat somebody. I'm not teasing here. I'm very afraid for Denver the next time Dallas faces them. There was another current event, but I'm mostly for the sports. I mentioned the mayor. That may be it. Okay, let's dive in. Man or woman, when you go through shit in life, if you have something specific to state, I want to teach or try to give a valuable opinion that it should be transformed and used for positive energy to show that you're going to make a different turn, go in a different direction to be great, instead of it draining your energy in a negative way, as if, you want to be looked upon as a pity party, for somebody to feel sorry for you. And I don't mean to sound heartless or make it as if there's no time for that at all. I just want you to know that your energy, the way your brain works, and all other functions in your body can be controlled by you. Positive energy can will you out of almost anything. So, when you have an example that could be the darkest, most tragic shit, you can lose a loved one. You yourself could have almost perished. Instead of that being a sob story, let's take that and be very positive. Try to use that as fuel. You learn a lesson. I mean, certain things should be known without it hitting home. If you pay attention to news at all, if you pay attention to the world around you. That should already motivate you to try to value and cherish every moment you're here. Again, you're human. You have feelings. A lot more have emotions. A setback can happen. Something tragic happen can throw you off. I'm trying to press the fast forward button and get you to now produce energy that can make you great, pose a hell of a comeback. Because what the story should sound like is, damn, after that happened, what a step up. What a turnaround. Wow. That's the story I want to hear. It takes a push. It takes motivation. Lean on wherever you have to lean on to try to accumulate this. Because I don't want to hear, and again, not to sound heartless, I don't want to hear, damn, ever since that, they ain't never been the same. There's nothing else to tell since that happened. I don't want that to be a story. You don't want that to be a story. Be clear. Everybody moves to a different drum. So, the time can be manipulated by you in the sense of saying some can bounce back faster than others. I'm not putting a time frame, folks. I'm just pushing the urgency to not let a lot of time pass. Try to shake it, because staying busy may be looked at as an excuse to try to forget something bad that's happened. But what kind of energy, what kind of moving around are you doing during the strategy of trying to get over something that was tragic? Don't knock it. Don't think that this is a bad angle, a bad way to overcome something. Whatever works for you, if it has any breakthrough in success, I want you to triple that. We don't want any pity parties out here. No sob stories. Let's try to shake that. You may have to confide in one person. You may have to talk to yourself. You may have to talk to the powers that be if you go there. But let's not make this a repetitive thing. You don't want to tell 5, 6 people this tragedy. Sometimes it's out of your hands. I get it. But again, I want more people to know how you came up since that issue, since that incident. I want more people to know that than just knowing what happened bad. Just knowing that something went down. Not the after effects, not the aftermath, not the how they rose up from that and made a hell of a turnaround. This is therapeutic for the person involved and for anyone who hears this story. So the domino effect should be positive, because it's sad to say that a domino effect on something negative is much easier to spread around. It's much easier to gravitate to people who aren't sure of themselves already, people who may be down and out a little bit already, to hear a tragedy, to hear something disturbing, and to find out that that's where that story ends. It'll draw people who have no ambition at the moment, who have no motivation at the moment, and they'll latch on to that. And now you got a group of people just bathing in that, just soaking in that, sulking. It's not good energy. It's not. So The minute one person can listen to what I'm saying and make a shift in energy, in motivation, that's the story we want to spread. If possible. Rome's not built in a day. I come on here all the time. I wish I had the power. I wish I had the motivation of millions, of masses, that when I sit here in one segment, it could be that ground shaking, that world turning type of shit that reaches all. And we can see progress like that. I won't stop though. That's not a punchline. That's real rap. That was being a little silly. But seriously, I'm going to continue. I told someone today, this doesn't stop. Your brain doesn't stop. You stop your brain. If you're alive right now, listening to this, watching this, your brain is functionable. Use it. Work together as a team to create things, to think of things. It starts with you. I also told someone else, this is a very selfish world. It just is what it is. It's a lot of for selfness around here. People are for self. So now when I come on here and talk and try to motivate, yes, I want numbers to change in masses. I want it to reach multiple people. But because this is a selfish world, if it reaches one at a time, it's not a loss. Because you know what? Selfish meshes in with all of that other shit I said. Anything negative. When you hear tragedies, you know, all of that is one big pot. So if I can reach one person, that could kind of shake that. Hopefully it could get passed around. That energy. My thing is, selfishness actually can have a helpful angle. Because if people are for self, what about yourself are you selfish about? Are you at least useful in any way? If not directly to another person, just being here on earth as you are? Because there's selfishness that can be still transferred and used to help somebody in some type of way. Whoever made the selfie stick is selfish. Jokingly, but think about it. I don't have another example. It's great. It says selfie in the whole name. Selfish. Self. But does it benefit others? A lot of people want to take selfies. There's more examples, folks. I'm just being simplistic, but I'm also being very adamant that let's use whatever we can to turn things around. I mentioned earlier about the politics. I'm not heavy into that. I'm not heavily into that. But it starts with us. Because, see, some of the problem is, yes, government and politicians are supposed to handle shit. We become too dependent on them negatively Because we're expecting a miracle to happen when we don't make no changes for ourselves. Selfish for ourselves. Nothing real positive. A lot of shit that go down amongst self is just a bunch of negative, complaining, non-happy, bitter people. For whatever reason. They'll tell you it's justified. My last segment, Federal Reserve note. I explain how important money is. You go day to day in the motions. Yes, I still stand by that. Am I rich right now? No. Does not being rich ever bother me? Yes. But then, why? Why does it bother me? Because things that are valuable, that hold real weight, can't be bought. And I don't want to contradict my last segment by saying that, like I'm taking anything back from what was said. Yes, it is important. Yes, it's needed to survive. I also said in that segment, don't let it consume you too much, though. So again, when we hear about complaints, when we hear about people being bitter, when we rely too much on politicians and the government, it's what we do first. We're not even exposing them in the way that they should really be exposed or could be exposed, because if we were all doing our part, what they lack would show more. We can point fingers and blame and criticize what the government and politicians have done up to now, and it may not be pretty, but we're not on our job either. So imagine how worse they would look. Or twistedly, I made that up, twistedly, if we got on our job, maybe they wouldn't look as bad. Or if they still look that bad, it wouldn't affect as much because we're doing our own thing. Now that gets a little complicated because nobody, I won't say the word nobody, my apologies. The world has to be run by some form of legislature type of, you know what I mean? So it'll never get to the point where we're so self-sufficient that they'll just leave us to our devices. I think that's very far-fetched to think that that would ever happen. But there's some things we complain about and we don't do a damn thing ourselves. So as far as expecting things to just fall in your lap or go your way, no matter who run the country, who run your town and your cities, it doesn't really matter. Again, Rome wasn't built in a day. I don't come on here with results that happen in hours, in moments after you watch this. It would be dope if once this segment is over, people get to it. But, I don't expect it to hit like that. But I do expect you to be aware that your brain works. What you put in the universe matters. And tragedies and situations that happen is unfortunate. Let's not downplay that. But I'm sure there's people we could find, including self, that has taken that and turned it around and began to change, began to use different energy to live this life, to live what's rest of this life. Being conscious, being alert, being aware, being on point is very important. This has nothing to do with letting your guard down, per se. Shit could happen and make you razor sharp. You're not even trying to play no type of games. I get it. You can still divide that, or should I say multiply, actually. or add. Let's use multiply and add, not divide or subtract. Put that with this positive energy. Anything you can use to say, you know what? I'm going to get up now. I've been down there a long time. I've been down there too long. I'm going to get up. Because I don't want it. You shouldn't want it that way. If you could use the pity and the being down and then somebody really comes up lift you, fine, that's dope. But to sit there and rely on that for real, it's kind of like real underachieving, if you ask me. If I had to put it in words, that's an underachiever. You should pump yourself. Your energy and all the good things that I'm mentioning should come from self. You should be able to push yourself. And I think especially when something happens. You see, if you don't go through shit, you should still be on the up and up. And some would say you better be. Because ain't shit happened to be otherwise. But that's a whole confusing thing when you come across people like that. And everybody's going to say don't judge the weight of what people hold because of who they are. Some people can handle more shit than others. But let's keep it a buck. If your biggest tragedy, I don't know, I might be crossing the line right here. If your biggest tragedy that you can think of, that you've allowed to consume you negatively, is a relationship that didn't work, a job you lost. I mean, I didn't put time frames on these things, so it's not to say that this shit don't matter. There's nothing I can tell you about your life that don't matter if it does matter to you. So I didn't put a time frame. So I'm not saying things like that shouldn't affect you at all. I'm talking about you just really out the game. You've been out a season and a half over some shit like that. It's time to snap out of it. And who's going to give it to you harsh? Somebody who cares. It's strength in numbers for real. It doesn't benefit me for you to stay in your sunken place. You can rise up based on shit I said to you. You don't got to come find me to help me do shit. You rising up out of that, we could just accidentally, or as they call destinedly, bump into each other to a situation where you save my life, or you save some shit, or you help me out. I'm not being that magical and that, thinking that deep into it that's going to really happen. I'm just saying it's funny how the world works. Somebody who was no use to nobody can just turn around and now help shit that they thought they never could. So for the people with the lesser tragedies, let's snap out of it. And again, that may sound like judgmental, like I'm telling you how to feel based on what you deal with. Breakups suck. I ain't gonna act bulletproof. Breaking up sucks. Losing a job sucks. It's nothing pretty about it. But I'm not gonna be out a season and a half over that. Knock on wood. You know what I mean? So if you got any kind of kick in you, any kind of push, all it takes is a little bit. And it could grow. But you gotta have that little bit. And if you had a little bit before whatever tragedy took you down a couple notches, I hope you don't lose that little bit. If it still stays a little bit, it's still there at least. And you can use that and make it grow. But never lose all of it where you have nothing left. Try to avoid that because it's very hard to climb out of that. I promise you, it's not pretty. And I've been on both sides of the fence to know. You think there's not shit that happened in my life where I could have let it consume me and say, you know what? Screw it all. I'm down here. That's where I'm at with it. For however long. Years. Is that some of the stories for people who are homeless, down on their luck? Maybe. I actually heard the other day that there's people that want to be homeless. That are in their comfort zone in that situation. At first, the reaction is like, what kind of crazy shit is that to say? I couldn't even think like that for a second. But then again, look at the world we're in. Is that really impossible? Think about it. Settling happens. People settle for situations that they don't have to. But it still could be a comfort thing for them. And that's still mental. So it doesn't sound right to others, but that just proved my theory of how your brain is always working. So you train where it goes with it. If you train it to be negative, it'll continue to be negative. If you train it to get up out of that, from the dark to the light, it could continue in that direction. You just have to give it its push. That all. I don't know, man. I feel like life shouldn't be taken for granted or wasted at all. You know, if you don't know when you're going. You really don't. I say that a lot. So while you're here, and you know, this could fall on a lot of deaf ears because it's just some people that's that gone, that lost, that, you know. My granny told me, save everybody. I don't know if I hold some of that. She didn't tell me that in 2021. I'm not sure if she was still here that she wouldn't say that, but that's not the year she told me that. And from then to now, a lot of shit has changed. So do I carry that same, how you call it? Not a logo, slogan. Do I carry that slogan? Because I'm repping her. That's who raised me. So I'm repping her. But something about that stings because you can't save everybody. And it, you know, from above, don't be disappointed in me to feel like I can't. But ask yourself, do you agree or disagree with that? Can everybody be saved? Are you willing to contribute to that level of thinking that everyone could be saved? Because anybody could say that shit, but who is willing to make a difference, to step up, to try to really make that a possibility? And that's probably what I mean more so than it really happening. Me having the energy to save everyone, I know a lot of people excuses is like, I'm barely saved. How the hell I'm gonna save everybody? You gotta think about it though. And this is like the least selfish people in the world that can entertain that thought at all. And that's the point. A very beautiful woman that's been gone over 10 years felt that way. There's a lot of other leaders, women, men, black, white, whatever, that felt similar. It's not absurd. But when it comes time to put in the work, that's when people find it absurd. Because it's not just a talk thing. Action has to follow it. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to just think on that and see where I'm going with that. That's some deep shit. For real. And you could take moments like how I'm going in between it right now. Because I'm trying to really see if I can take that on again. You know, me sitting here mentioning that just reminded me of that's how my grandmother wanted things to be. You know, But you can't double dutch. You can't jump in and out of things like that. If you're gonna set your mind for something, you gotta go all the way in. Yeah, there's certain scenarios and certain things in life where you can, get at it and then come back to it, a piece at a time, a day at a time. But something like that, you gotta kind of just be ready to go. So that's very hard. So that's why I was like taking a little moment thinking, could I actually do some shit like that? I could, but will I stay committed to it? Again, this is all about positivity. So I'm not putting nothing negative in the air saying that I can't. I'm just saying it's not easy. And it is good to start one by one a lot of the time. You know what I'm saying? So everything I say here, again, if it could reach one person, that's a start for me. So again, let's get rid of the pity parties and have celebration of success. Shake that shit off and get to a whole different type of mindset, mind frame. And let's put positive in the air as much as possible and have another part of the story that sounds great for people who may have had similar tragedies or similar setbacks. Let's try to be strong and work through this. But it starts with you. Peace. Be safe.